The movie starts with a teenager named Ian and his dad, Vicente, going to a store to find some bottles. They didn't use any weapons for stealing. Instead, Ian used his magical ability, which he controlled with his thoughts and sight, to make the shop owner not notice the bottle his dad had. But a woman interrupted Ian's thoughts when Vicente was getting their car. This made the shop owner realize the theft, and she stopped Vicente's car with a hammer. Ian had to use his ability to make it seem like he had a gun and shot at the shop owner. After they escaped, a policeman named Pedro tried to help the shop owner. Surprisingly, the shop owner was unharmed, and Pedro chased Ian and his dad. During the chase, Ian used his power to create a hailstorm, making Pedro's car swerve and end up at a gas station. Strangely, the CCTV footage showed no damage to Pedro's car. This caught the attention of Dr. Adriana, the CEO of an agency who wanted to kidnap Ian because she had been searching for someone like him. Vicente and Ian lived on an abandoned ship away from towns because Ian had magical powers since birth. If they lived in the city, people would find out about his abilities. In the morning, Vicente gave an egg for Ian because it was his 18th birthday. He also showed Ian a photo of his mother, who was declared dead when Ian was just 1 year old. Along with the eggs, Vicente gave Ian a gift that looked like a book, but Ian wasn't interested in it. Instead, he wanted to practice Wing Chun, a martial art. Ian was a big fan of video game characters, so he had posters of them on his bedroom wall. Meanwhile, Pedro was relaxing in a cafe, talking to people about his strange experience while chasing Ian. Suddenly, a mysterious man named Oscar used his powers to kill Pedro and then left without paying. Long story short, in the afternoon, the agency and Dr. Adriana arrived at the ship to ambush Ian. But when they got inside, they only found Vicente. They eventually located Ian at the game arcade, and without hesitation, Adriana sent her men there. When they arrived, Oscar, who was as strong as Ian, suddenly fought off Adriana's men. In the chaos, the agency managed to cover Oscar's head with an iron helmet. Meanwhile, Ian was taken away by the agency, with one of them being a woman named Esther. They placed Ian in a truck that already had Vicente in it. Ian was made to wear an iron helmet that prevented him from using his illusions, and they also took a blood sample for research. On their way to the agency company, Oscar appeared again, trying to block the road with his illusions. However, the agency's super truck ignored him and managed to pass through. When they arrived at the company, Dr. Adriana began to share her story and revealed that she had been part of a perception manipulation operation. Perception manipulators, like Ian, had the power to control illusions. Ian was unique among them because he was born with this ability. Adriana also shared that Ian's parents had been injected with a formula made from sugarcane juice by a scientist named Dr. Kaminsky. However, Dr. Kaminsky never revealed the formula's composition to anyone, not even the agency. That's why the agency kidnapped Ian. They wanted to extract the formula from his blood. To provoke Ian's abilities, Dr. Adriana taunted him by saying he had no friends, never went to school, and had lost his mother at a young age. This made Ian angry, and he used his powers to manipulate Adriana while they were at the beach. Afterward, Ian was taken to meet Vicente. Here, Adriana added that Ian's abilities went beyond creating illusions. He could also enter people's minds. Curious about his mother, Ian tried this power by entering Vicente's mind. In Vicente's memories, Ian discovered that Vicente was actually an agency officer who had kidnapped him from a research laboratory and kept him hidden from the public for 17 years. Despite Vicente's care all these years, Ian felt betrayed because of the long-standing lie. Adriana then met with her boss. They examined Ian's blood sample, but couldn't find the formula, even though Ian had been born from it. The agency needed this formula desperately to combat groups of individuals with abilities like Ian's, referred to as awareness. These awareness individuals could manipulate global politics and help politicians deceive the public with their abilities. Meanwhile, Esther surprisingly sneaked into Ian's room and urged him to escape. Together, they joined forces to take on the agency's guards. Esther's martial arts skills were impressive, and she swiftly defeated the guards. They even managed to rescue Vicente before making their way to safety. Meanwhile, a scientist entered the agency's premises and started eliminating all the guards to help Ian escape. Surprisingly, this scientist turned out to be Oscar. During their getaway, Ian faced a challenge when the rear tire of his car was punctured by a mine. Instead of stopping, he bravely continued driving until the car rolled off the road. Shortly after, Oscar appeared, but Ian used his powers to make Oscar disappear. Ian, Esther, and Vicente then found refuge in a motel to rest. While Vicente was drunk, Ian took the opportunity to delve into his thoughts. In Vicente's memories, Ian witnessed Vicente conversing with Adriana about someone known as Big Boss. He also saw a man in black with 3 missing fingers inside a car. Although these memories didn't provide all the answers, they did give Ian a clue that compelled him to embark on a journey to Warsaw, Poland, in search of his mother's whereabouts. Facing financial constraints, Ian and Esther resorted to robbing a bank using counterfeit checks and their illusionary abilities. However, their plan quickly unraveled when the bank staff realized the deception and raised the alarm, leading to a pursuit by security officers. Their daring haste soon made headlines, catching the attention of both the agency and Oscar. It didn't take long for Oscar to pay a visit to Ian's room. Despite Ian's attempt to create the illusion of an empty room, Oscar saw through it by looking at the mirror, as illusions don't work when reflected. This led to a showdown between Oscar and Ian. However, Ian's limited mastery of Wing Chun techniques left him at a disadvantage, and Oscar eventually entered Ian's mind, leaving him unconscious. Upon regaining consciousness, Ian faced the wrath of his father for his criminal actions. With Ian's arrogance in full display, Vicente confronted him with a choice: pursue the truth, which might bring regret, or start anew with a clean slate. Despite his anger, Ian rejected Vicente's offer and resolved to uncover the mystery surrounding his mother. Ian and Esther proceeded to Warsaw, while Adriana managed to trace Ian's movements through his train ticket history. Upon their arrival in Warsaw, at the very laboratory where Ian was born, he stumbled upon a concealed room containing extensive records about his mother, Ursula Kamiński. This revelation indicated that Ian was, in fact, the grandson of Dr. Kamiński. Before long, Oscar unexpectedly appeared and claimed to be on Ian's side. However, Ian remained skeptical and attempted to manipulate Oscar, but Oscar proved to be more skilled and uncovered the real Ian. Oscar then disclosed a shocking truth. He and Ursula had been in a romantic relationship and willingly participated in a covert program initiated in the 1950s, just after World War II. This clandestine program involved injecting a special formula into their bodies, granting them the abilities to create illusions and delve into others' thoughts. This made them ideal government agents during the Cold War, where they controlled adversaries with their powers. Nevertheless, when the Cold War concluded, the government initiated a program called disinfection, aiming to eliminate individuals with illusion manipulating capabilities due to concerns of them posing a threat to the world. During this eradication effort, those with extraordinary abilities, like Oscar, couldn't be terminated. Enter the enigmatic Perceptor, believed to possess not only mastery over illusion manipulation and memory reading, but also an advanced skill: remote physical manipulation of adversaries without any physical contact. Perceptor remained unbeaten until that moment, and the agency aimed to utilize Ian's innate powers to defeat him. Oscar then added that most people injected with the formula couldn't have children, so it was quite miraculous that Ursula, who had been involved with Oscar, managed to give birth to Ian. This revelation hinted that Oscar might be Ian's father. However, even after this explanation, Ian still found it hard to believe. To resolve the mystery, Oscar invited Ian to visit his home in Madrid, promising that he would find all the answers about his mother there. Suddenly, agency operatives appeared and launched an attack on the laboratory. Esther swiftly whisked Ian away, leaving Oscar to confront the agency's troops. In the midst of the battle, Oscar used his illusion powers to make the agents see spiders, making it easier for him to eliminate them. However, Oscar was eventually captured. Meanwhile, Esther fought off several agency members who were attempting to apprehend Ian. After defeating the agents, the two managed to escape. Oscar, on the other hand, found himself imprisoned in the agency's facility, his head encased in an iron helmet, subjected to painful electric shocks. After Adriana left, Oscar pretended to be thirsty and asked for a drink of water. One of the sympathetic operatives used a robot to bring him water, drilling a small hole in his helmet to allow him to drink. But instead of quenching his thirst, Oscar used this hole to control the operator and had him make the robot shoot at his colleagues. This revealed that Oscar was a Perceptor, as he had the power to physically control others. Perceptor managed to escape from the office and headed to Madrid. Meanwhile, Ian and Esther arrived at Perceptor's house in Madrid. There, Ian finally met his mother, who was in a fragile state. Perceptor instructed Ian to enter his mother's mind, where he witnessed moments from his infancy. However, suddenly, Perceptor appeared in their shared memories, causing Ursula to react negatively and preventing Ian from delving deeper. It turned out that Ursula had destroyed Dr. Kaminsky's formula, and the agency was attempting to access her mind to retrieve it. To shield Ian from this hardship, Ursula had implanted pleasant memories of playing with her son in a white room, which also contained encrypted formula details. Perceptor urged Ian to remember the formula, promising to seek revenge against the agency once they had it. At that moment, Adriana and her agency operatives arrived at Perceptor's house. Ian, believing that the agency had caused his mother's suffering, unleashed his third-stage power in anger, easily overpowering the troops. After incapacitating several of them, he used his abilities to manipulate Adriana and her team to do something drastic. However, Vicente arrived and implored Ian to reconsider his actions. Filled with anger and confusion, Ian had to decide whether to continue down a violent path or not. Instead of harming Vicente, Perceptor used his third power to make Vicente do the unthinkable. This shocking act made Ian release his hold on Adriana and approach Vicente. Even though Vicente wasn't his biological father, Ian loved him deeply for raising him. In his dying moments, Vicente asked Ian to enter his memories. In those memories, it was revealed that Ursula had pressured Vicente to take Ian to a safer place for a better future. After Vicente's passing, Perceptor fled, taking Esther hostage. Ian pursued them and found them at an exhibition crowded with people. Ian put the crowd to sleep to confront Perceptor, but Perceptor used his powers to make the people attack Ian instead. One man even tried to strangle Ian, coming close to killing him. Thankfully, Adriana arrived just in time to shoot the man and save Ian. Perceptor then threatened to harm Esther if Ian didn't reveal the formula. However, Adriana pointed out that Esther was just a character created by Ian's illusion. To prove her point, Ian shot at Esther, but the bullet passed through her and struck Perceptor, killing him. The next day, they held Vicente's funeral. Ian realized that it was Perceptor, not the agency, who had caused his mother's fragile condition. Adriana once again offered Ian a chance to join the agency, but he declined, choosing to live as Vicente had taught him. Ian still cherished Esther, even though she wasn't real. They then opened the gift Vicente had given Ian on his 18th birthday, which turned out to be a book. Ian observed Adriana in conversation with her boss, but when he glanced in the rearview mirror, he noticed that there was no man, only Adriana. The movie concludes with Ian attempting to use his abilities to delve into Adriana's mind to uncover the identity of the person she was speaking to. The moral lesson from this story is that the relentless pursuit of power and vengeance often results in a cycle of violence and deceit, which harms both oneself and others. It underscores the significance of forgiveness, empathy, and opting for a path of harmony and affection rather than seeking revenge and harboring hatred.